So ESPN just released their top 10 WNBA free agents that are on the move and also where they think is the best fit for them. And if you guys agree or disagree, subscribe. We're trying to hit 41.2 thousand subscribers by the end of the day. We are only 7 off. And lads, I got to be out of my hotel in like 3 hours. So I'm recording almost my entire day videos by 12 p.m. But anyway, let's talk about the list. So the best fits for the free agents on the move. So let's take a read. Jewell Loyd. Best fit is the Aces. On one condition. On one condition and one condition only. Kelsey Plum's gone. Sarah partnership with Brionna Steward, which produced championships in 18 and 20 with the Storm, showed how effective she can be as a perimeter counterweight to a dominant frontcourt player. Replacing Kelsey Plum in Vegas will put Loyd back in that role alongside 3-time MVP A'ja Wilson, who, like teammates Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young, shares an agent with Loyd. If Plum wants to go elsewhere, it's possible the Aces could land Loyd as a replacement in a deal that sends Plum to her desired destination. Yeah, that's something that's possible. It's something that's very, very possible. And if Kelsey Plum leaves and you're not getting Kelsey Mitchell, yeah, it's probably not a bad choice for the Aces to specifically make that type of a deal or that specific deal even. Oh, geez, camera's not moving at all there. But yeah, so another option is a Sky. Another home going to Sky would make sense. The Sky chose not to issue a qualifying offer to Kennedy Carter. And yeah, she's the perfect replacement for Kennedy Carter. The problem is, obviously, talks have died down about that. Alyssa Thomas, best fit Connecticut Sun. If we're talking basketball, and be honest here, if we're purely talking basketball, best fit is Indiana Fever. Like, she would be the enforcer. She would set things up. She would be that kind of screener. Aaliyah Boston can play a little bit more perimeter oriented. I know she would be like the best fit for her basketball wise is the Fever because she's a package deal with DeWanna Bonner. Thomas has been synonymous with Connecticut for her entire career and his long embodied franchise ethos of gritty, often overlooked group that is surpasses expectations. Its signs, including Thomas calling out the Suns' lack of player amenities multiple times, are pointing to parting ways. She was cored, so the only way she can leave is by trade. But she's such a unique player profile that trading for her would likely mean building the system around her. Not necessarily, because she's someone that we saw in the Olympics can be extremely effective as a defender, as a screener, as a roller. And she's also a good decision maker with the ball in her hands. You don't need to build a system around her if you've got smart players and a smart coach. Like, you don't need to do that. How much of a priority is for Thomas to play with DeWanna Bonner? It says here they're playing together. That's a given. Other options: Phoenix Mercury and Minnesota Lynx. There is a 0 chance that she goes to Minnesota Lynx. There is a almost negative chance that happens. I will say though that like the Phoenix Mercury is the most likely situation for Alyssa Thomas, because I think when it comes to Alyssa Thomas, the Phoenix Mercury, I don't know what they actually have to trade for her, to be honest. Because a lot of people are like, oh, trade Sophie Cunningham. Like, Sophie Cunningham is almost untradeable because of the whole, how much work she does for the Phoenix Suns. Sophie Cunningham is effectively untradeable. But like, I do think if they're going to try to find a way to get to the Mercury, like, it's probably going to cost you Celeste Taylor and a first for Alyssa Thomas, and then you're getting DeWanna Bonner as well, which would be a huge thing for Phoenix. Emma Meesseman, best fit Connecticut Sun. No. Unless Alyssa Thomas leaves. Like, do you want Emma Meesseman to come off the bench, or do you want, because she needs the ball in her hands. And she's super, super good. Like, she has to be a primary decision maker. I'm not saying she needs to be the primary player. She needs to be a primary decision maker. And she becomes a possible bench player for the Connecticut Sun. I do think her and Alyssa Thomas could work, but that's if we get rid of Bree Jones and move Alyssa Thomas to center. Possibility of her returning to the W has become more realistic when Meesseman was hired as the Suns head coach. We already know how Meesseman is maximizing his system. She made the All-Star 5 in the last Olympics after leading all scores 23 points per game. Yeah, look, in the right system, Emma Meesseman is an MVP candidate. We know that. We know how good she is. But if the team loses Alyssa Thomas, then yes. Other options, the Minnesota Lynx and Liberty. Lynx, cool. Like, she starts for the Lynx. The problem is with the Lynx is that you've got to cut somebody if she starts. You got to move Fee Collier to the 3, which is going to be really tough. And also, it's going to take a lot of touches out of Fee, but Meesseman I think she would work well with the Lynx. But the Liberty is a terrible fit. It is a terrible, terrible fit. Like, she goes from she needs to be the primary playmaker for that team. The only way that would be a smart fit is if they run the offense through her, not to her, through her. So she basically plays the point forward role. The offense goes through her to Stewie, to Sabrina Ionescu, to Leonie Fibic. And she kind of plays the 4 with Stewie moving to the 3. That could work, but I don't see it. I don't see that happening. My prediction for Emma Meesseman is if Alyssa Thomas leaves, it's the Sun. Other systems where I think she could be very effective. Look, if the Fever can get her, they're contenders. Like, I think Stephanie White's use of the point forward could help, but she's not much of a screener. So I don't I think the Fever, she fits with literally any team in the W. I don't really think the Sky is the greatest fit because she's not quick enough to really guard threes. Like, the best fit for her would be if Alyssa Thomas leaves the Sun. So, like, let's just say Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner leave, but they're able to keep Bree Jones. So her and Bree Jones could work really well together, a little bit like her and Linskins did in the Olympics. They could work really well together. And then you've got Dejanay, you've got Marina Mabry, and you've got Ty Harris. Like, that's still a really good starting 5. Like, that's a starting 5 that could, if you can get anything off the bench, could compete for a WNBA, could compete for a top 4 seed in the W, with Meesseman being an MVP candidate. But that's the only real situation I see her, like, thriving in the WNBA next season. Kelsey Plum, best fit is the Valkyries. It's hard to get her to Golden State. Sorry, it's hard. It's going to be really, really difficult to get her to Golden State. Golden State aren't giving up the 5th pick in the draft. They're not giving up what's probably going to be Kiki Iriafen. So they're not giving up her. You've also got, Kayla Thornton. Is that enough? Is Kayla Thornton, Steph Talbot, is that enough? And a 2nd and a 13th pick? Or they don't even have the 13th pick and their 2nd round pick. Is that enough? I don't think so. So it's a tough one. Yeah, it's the best fit, but I don't think there's a situation where she gets there. Other options include the Sparks and the Seattle Storm. The Storm get better. A lot of people are like, oh, why would the Storm do that? Jewell Loyd for Kelsey Plum. Like, Kelsey Plum's better than Jewell Loyd. But the Sparks, what do the Sparks have to give up? The Sparks, what would they have to give up? Ray Burrell. You would have, if they're obviously not giving up the 2 pick, and they don't have their 2026 pick, you would have to give Ray Burrell, the 2027 pick, and I don't even know what other assets the Sparks have. Ari McDonald. You're not getting anything back of note for Kelsey Plum if you're the Sparks. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where she's going to end up being. But Britney Griner, best fit Aces. I don't know with that one. I really don't know. I think the best fit, the Dallas Wings might be the single worst fit ever for Britney Griner. So the Wings already have Tierra McCowan and Kalani Brown signed to guaranteed contracts, but the perennial All-Star would be an upgraded center. Imagine having the 3 slowest centers in the WNBA. Not just having the 2 slowest centers. Imagine having the 3 slowest centers in the W. That's what would happen. They would have the literal 3 slowest centers. That's mental. That is absolutely mental if they made that swap. But the Mercury, I think, is probably the best bet for her. She's been there her career. Again, the Aces would be the ring chase and lose, which is not ideal. Satou Sabally, best fit on the court. Probably staying with Dallas, to be honest. The best fit, the Liberty. I mean, the most she's going to the Liberty. The Liberty's not the best fit, depending on what they give up. If the Liberty give up Leonie Fibic, they get worse. It's like giving up the engine to get an extra layer of paint on the on the Ferrari. They're obviously super stacked as is, and I don't even know if replacing Benai Laney with her is that big of a deal. I don't think it makes them that much better, but it does make them a little bit better, I guess. They get worse if they replace Fevic, but like Satou coming in. Satou's going to come in as a starter and get buckets, I guess. Like, she's going to average about 14 points per game. And the Liberty are going to be title favourites again, but she's almost certainly going to the Liberty anyway. And honestly, if I was a Liberty fan and I had a choice between Satou or Gabby Williams, I would go for Gabby Williams, who might be available too, to be honest. Bree Jones, best fit the Sun. Well, you see, if Bree Jones, Emma Meesseman, and Alyssa Thomas literally can't be on the floor at the same time. So, like, it literally compares. It all depends on what happens. Like, I think if you lose Alyssa Thomas, yes, Bree Jones, go to the Sun. Stay at the Sun. That's a really good spot. Because if you lose Bree, or if you lose that, like, if you lose Alyssa Thomas, you've got Meesseman, Bree Jones, who could be like a much better version of the Meesseman Linskens combo at the Olympics. So that would be a really good thing. Like, obviously all-star level player. I do think she could be one of the best. That could be one of the best in that system, 4 or 5 combos in the W. But it relies on Alyssa Thomas being gone. And I do think, by the way, Emma Meesseman or Alyssa Thomas can play a very similar role to what Meesseman played in the Olympics in that Mazian system. I think if Alyssa Thomas stays with Bree Jones and Sun, are going to be really good offensively. Surprisingly enough, for a team were so bad offensively last year. But the three of them can't work together. So, other options are Dallas Wings, Phoenix Mercury. Dallas would be, actually, you know what? If she does go to Dallas, that's a pretty good fit, I will say. And the reason why that would be a good fit purely is because of, like, how bad their centers currently are. The one upon her best fit wherever Alyssa Thomas is. Best fit Phoenix Mercury. They really just want the retirement home. But no, it's literally wherever Alyssa Thomas is. Best Connecticut Sun, Indiana Fever. She'd be unbelievable for the Fever. But if she goes to the Fever, she's not going without Alyssa Thomas, I don't think. No, she'd be fantastic for the Indiana Fever. Absolutely fantastic for the Fever. Just because of her length, her shooting, her off-the-ball play. Kelsey Mitchell, Indiana, next. Other options, Seattle Storm or Las Vegas. With Jewell Loyd seeking a trade from the Storm and Plum expected to trade for Vegas, both of these could see Mitchell being a replacement. I don't see Loyd wanting to go to Indiana, but I do think if Kelsey Mitchell is to leave, the Kelsey for Kelsey swap makes most sense both sides. But I don't think the Kelsey swap's going to happen because I think Indiana Fever are going to keep Kelsey Mitchell. Courtney Vandersloot, best fit. I still think the best fit for Courtney Vandersloot is the Sky because she's going to start. She's already played for the Sky. She's won a championship there. She's the only player that hasn't badmouthed the Sky that left them. And, like, she's going to be able to run the one there, run the show, and she's got 2 good bigs to give the ball to. Like, that's really the type of players you need around Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. Because, look, I don't know. We'll see this season whether or not the Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese combo is something that you can build around. And it's not saying either of them individuals, but, like, from last season, it really did look like it was you had to choose one or the other. That it was very rare that they both had good games simultaneously. It was like when one had a good game, the other had a bad game. But I think Courtney Vandersloot might help that. I would probably look to get her. But I don't think... like it says here, she could play alongside Courtney Williams in the league's perimeter, all Courtney backcourt. There is no way, even if you get Courtney Vandersloot, the Courtney Vandersloot would start for the Lynx. Like, I don't know who wrote this, but Bridget Carleton is so freaking important to this team. There is no way Courtney Vandersloot would start. So anyway, yeah, that's it. I do think Sky is the best fit for Courtney Vandersloot. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. See you guys.